everyone, and welcome to Valley View Living. If you're new here, my name is Megan. I have 6 young kids. We homeschool and we are small-scale homesteaders as well. We live on a multi-gen shed 10-acre block, and we farm the 5 acres that our property is on. I'm also juggling childcare, so yeah, always a mum, 100% on all the time. Hey! Look who's interested in the beef today. Now behind me on the table you can see the result of having our first steer butchered on this property. So he was about a year old when we had him butchered. So I was just trying to explain why we didn't wait until maybe the maximum age for the maximum amount of beef we would get. Now we are running a small property here. We probably have between 3 and 4 acres of pasture. At the moment that pasture is supporting a lactating dairy cow and 3 calves. They eat a lot. And this boy, this steer, had reached 12 months of age. He's a great size and we were really happy with the way that it turned out. It also means now there's a lot more grass in our pasture to support the rest of our cattle. Now at the end, after I've taken you through the cuts of beef, I will go through the breakdown in cost for you. One thing I just want to clarify is that when I talk about home butchering beef, we are not handling the act of slaughtering the animal ourselves, and we are also not doing the butchery ourselves. We are hiring a mobile butcher who comes onto our property. He does the work with the assistance of another able-bodied person. Somebody needs to dispose of the remains that we are not using or keeping. And then he takes the carcass out to his property, which has his home butchery on it, in a mobile cold room. Now this can happen in different ways in different places, in different states with different butchers, but that's the way it works for us. And a week to 10 days later, you can also negotiate a longer hanging time with many butchers, but for us, a week to 10 days later, we then drive out to his property and collect all of this that he has butchered and packaged for us and fill our freezer for hopefully the next 6 months. So would you like to come and see the cuts of beef with me? Let's see what we got today. Okay, it is not all perfectly sorted here, but I think I have got everything out so that I can show it to you. 168 kilograms, including the box of bones, is what we netted from this 12-month-old steer. This is roasting cuts. We have blade, another roast. There's a brisket here. I really wanted to experiment with a brisket. I've never cooked one before, and we do have the ability to smoke here, so we might try that. Top side roast, another top side. This is another blade, another roasting cut, more top side. Yep, top side roast, 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 all roast. And I'm going to estimate this is easily 20 kilograms of meat and probably a bit more. Now this is my favorite section. I just love a T-bone steak, so I did request these. This is the size we got from our 12-month-old speckled park cross Frisian, maybe? I'm honestly not, I do not remember what he was crossed with, but he was fabulous cow. Anyway, this is his T-bone size. So it's not the biggest thing, you know, you go to the pub and you get one of those cheap plate covering $10, I don't know if they're $10 anymore, they used to be, T-bones. No, it's not that, it's quality, not quantity, and this is going to taste beautiful. So for the T-bones, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I believe I might have a couple hiding down there. But at the moment, 9 packs of 2 thick cut T-bone steaks. This is what we'll be frying up for lunch today as a farm celebration. Here I have some thin sliced barbecue steak, and this is the Osso Buco. This might give you an idea as to the size of our steer. This is not small. I mean, this is several kilograms here in this bag alone. And I look forward to trying that in a slow cook stew. 2 of those, and I believe the other 2 shins were turned into beef mince. Of course, being a mum of a big family, I did request a lot of beef mince, and I got a lot of beef mince. I would not be surprised if this is up around 80 kilograms. I would have to count each bag of 1 kilo individually, and I'm not going to. But I think I've got about 80 kilos, or maybe 60 to 80. And here is a nice bag of our best quality beef mince. It is amazing to look at this. It really is. This is just so satisfying. And I knew this cow and I loved this cow. I respected this cow. You can actually love your animal. You can actually still have them processed and you have them butchered with the lowest stress possible in the best, most respectful way. And you are still just respecting that beast and giving them a fantastic life. Anyway, there's a few more mince here. This is round steak. He also diced up quite a bit of steak for me by request because I will be using those in curries mainly. So stewing steak for curries or stews, or maybe I'll try a beef pie. That would be amazing. So this is all diced up steak. Then I've got some round steak, which is fabulous, marinated and cooked on the barbecue. Some more diced up steak. And this is just like a bit mixed up bits and pieces here. I've got a few more roasts. Some more T-bone. I knew I had a couple more hiding away. So I'll leave a few out for lunch today. And more T-bone. So I ended up with like 12 times 2, 24 T-bone steaks, I think. That's the other side of the brisket. And we have more beef mince in here. Each one 1 kilogram. Moving around the table. We did request the bones back, so he's cut them up into manageable pieces for me, which is wonderful. The dog, of course, already has one, joining in the celebration. But I'm going to package up and store as many of these bones as I can in my freezer. And I will roast them off for bone broth, of course. And any that I just cannot store, I'll probably just post up on my local community group if anybody wants dog bones. And if not, I don't know, probably get chucked in the bush. Now, this is all beef mince and it is very heavy, so I'm going to say there is a good 20 kilograms of beef mince in this little box here. Now, we're at the expensive section. This is the boutique butcher. The I haven't eaten these cuts of meat for years because they're so expensive section. And that's true. We just we buy a cheap steak. But we have rump, tons of rump, which I'm looking forward to trying. In fact, maybe for lunch I'll cook up some rump and some T-bone. And Scotch fillet. Now this is what I'm talking about when I say I haven't eaten these cuts forever. And I don't know, a Scotch fillet, last time I had a look at a butcher or a supermarket, it was running between $55 to $60 a kilogram. So to think, if I took maybe 3 of these bags, that's going to set me back $50. Whoa. Anyway, we've got a good section of Scotch fillet steak here. Just to put it in perspective for you, there's probably 5 or 10 kilos, maybe, yeah, there'd be at least 10 kilos of steak here, and I'm not sure of which type. Oh, and we're back. We're back to our roasts. So, that's how 168 kilograms of home butchered beef looks. Now, would you like to talk prices with me? Okay, we bought this steer at about 6 months old for $500. Now he had been bottle raised from a potty calf, I assume, who's raised on the bottle, and then just turned out to organically cared for pasture. So completely grass fed after weaning. Now he came here, he was just a tough little calf, you know, they're very small about that age, very cute. And he grew out here on our pasture for about the last 8 months. Okay, so I just got my calculator out. So he cost $550. Now he was $550 to purchase. We raised him for free on our pasture. However, he was hay fed as the seasons grew shorter, you know, colder, darker, less grass. So he was hay fed, and I'm going to factor in for his share $150, and that's actually very generous. He probably did not eat that much hay, but plus $150. Then I'm going to add in the butchering cost. Now, the butchering is a certain amount per kilo because the charge to have him butchered was $700. So he was $700 for 168 kilos. Means he cost about $4 a kilo to be butchered. Now, it's probably structured with your butcher something like there's a call out fee and then there's a per kilo charge, but either or, okay? So if you have multiple stock butchered, it will be cheaper. For us, having one smallish steer butchered, it's a bit more on the expensive side, worked out to $4 per kilo. So we're going to add up the $5.50 to purchase the steer, the $1.50 for hard feeding hay for 8 months, and we're going to add on the butchery cost of $700. That equals $1,400 for the total experience. Now we're going to take that $1,400 and we're going to divide it by the 168 kilograms of meat, and it works out to about $8 per kilo. Childcare break. We're at the cost of the beef per kilo, and we arrived at $8 per kilo to have that beef purchased, raised out on your own pasture, and then butchered into the cuts you like. Of course, that $8 means you're paying $8 per kilo for bones, but you're also paying $8 per kilo for eye fillet steak. So you get the evened out amount through the whole, from the cheaper cuts to the more expensive cuts. Now, personally, I think that price is wonderful. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about having our steer butchered today. I hope this information has been helpful for you in some way. And if you have enjoyed this content, please feel free to like or comment or subscribe. And enjoy your homesteading journey wherever you are at with it. Bye! Okay, so this is what you get back on the day of the actual home butchering. So we have the oxtail here. You can see he was not a huge cow, but that is still quite meaty and would make an amazing, even just bone broth. If you cut that up, roasted it and turned it into broth, that would be awesome. And here we have the jowls, which are the cheek. So the cut of beef, one from each cheek, which the butcher suggested that we slow cook, maybe look at a recipe for. It's supposed to be really good. And underneath here, underneath the tail and the jowls, is actually his whole liver. So for me to keep that, I will have to probably slice it up into smaller sections, and then I will freeze it into small amounts. Now, I'm the only one in the house who will actually enjoy liver as is in a meal, just pan fried. I like it with onions, but and bacon. Yeah, onions and bacon with liver is amazing. But I might be able to find a way to hide it in heavy beef mince meals or something like that for the rest of my family. But either way, it's definitely worthwhile, obviously, to keep these organs on the day because they're quite valuable. And I know that it came from a very well cared for animal who was grass fed and organically raised as far as we could.